In section 5.1, we're going to start by converting, and we're going to use dimensional analysis a lot in this chapter. So once we figure out how to do dimensional analysis, then you'll use that, and no matter what units you're converting from or to, you can use that same system. So let's look in 1A. We're going to convert 30 inches to feet. So what we do in dimensional analysis, and it's just a good way of organizing it, is we first come up with, well, what conversion factor compares inches to feet. And we know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So we're going to start with our 30 inches, and we'll write the units down as well. So 30 inches, we're going to write that over 1. We're going to make it into a fraction. So 30 inches over 1 still holds the same value as 30 inches. Now we're going to multiply that by a conversion factor. And what we want to do is we want to get rid of inches and we want to change it to feet. So if you think about multiplying, if I multiply and I have inches in the denominator, then I can actually cancel out those common factors or those common units. So we're going to put the 12 inches in the denominator, and that's equal to 1 foot. Now what we've just done is come up with this fraction is equal to 1. 1 foot and 12 inches are exactly the same. So we're just changing 30 inches, we're changing the look of it. We're not changing the value because what we're doing is multiplying it by 1. Okay, so 30 inches over 1 times 1 foot over 12 inches. Now let's look to see what will cancel out. We've got inches that will cancel out as a common factor. Now let's multiply across the top. We've got 30, and now the only thing that's left is feet in units, over 1 times 12 is 12. And now let's simplify that. If you'll take 30 and divide it by 12 in your calculator, you get 2.5, and the units that are left are feet. So pay very close attention to the units. We want those to be exactly what we're trying to convert to. Do the same thing on the second one, converting 6 inches to yards. Well, we know that there's a conversion factor that says 1 yard is equal to 36 inches. Okay, and that would be given to you. All of your conversions in this chapter will be given as you take your test. They'll be embedded in the problems. Okay, so if we're converting 6 inches, and we're going to keep 6 inches and change that to 6 inches over 1, haven't changed the value, multiply it by a fraction equal to 1. Now if we're wanting to go from inches to yards, we're getting rid of inches. So the 36 inches is going to go in the denominator. 1 yard will go in the numerator. Cancel out any common factors. So here we've got inches and inches will cancel out. We can also go ahead and cancel out a common factor of 6, which leaves me with 1 in the numerator and 6 in the denominator. So multiplying across the top, I'm left with 1 yard over 1 times 6 is 6, so my answer there is 1/6 of a yard. And you'll need to look at your instructions to see if you're asked for a decimal value or a fraction. Decimal, we would take 1 and divide it by 6, which gives me approximately 0.17 of a yard. Okay, let's go to another one, and you'll notice that this dimensional analysis just keeps me in the same exact type of problem with different units. 1C, convert 23,760 feet to miles. There's a conversion factor that says that 5,280 feet is equal to 1 mile. So we'll start with what's given, 23,760 feet. Put that over 1. We want to get rid of feet, so we're going to put the feet in the denominator. 5,280 feet is equal to 1 mile. That way the feet are going to cancel out. When I multiply across the top, I've got 23,760 miles over 1 times the 5280, and notice the only units I have left are miles. Go ahead and divide that in your calculator, which would give me 4.5 miles. Okay. Number 2 says selecting from a millimeter, meter, kilometer, determine the best unit to express a person's height. Okay, kilometer we know is more distance in a car. That's going to be way too long. Millimeter is very tiny, more like you're measuring a paper clip. So a meter is going to be what would make more sense in those options. Okay. Now, when we're converting using the metric system, we have, and you've already seen in a couple of videos, we've got King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. And then as we do that, remember that you've got 2 D's there. So we have the deca prefix and we have the deci prefix. So usually you'd want to add a little A there to remember that that's deca as a prefix. B is representing whatever base I'm using. So in this problem we're using meters as my base. So you can replace this with meters. Okay. And then as we convert, if I'm going from 5 meters to centimeters, we're going from here 2 places to the right. So we're going to move our decimal place, which actually right now 5 is the same as 5.0. I'm going to move it 2 places to the right, which gives me 500 centimeters. Okay, let's do the same thing with the next problem. I'm going to use the same King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. M is your base, which is meters again. So if we're converting 0.023 millimeters to meters, this is my millimeters prefix. 1, 2, 3 to the left. So if I'm beginning with 0.023 millimeters, I'm going to go 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. We'll have our placeholder zeros there, which ends up giving me 0.00023 meters. We went from millimeters to meters. Okay. 4A, converting 14 inches to centimeters using dimensional analysis. So if we go from 14 inches, we're going to put that over 1. When we look to see how to make that fraction, we want the inches to be in the denominator so that we can get rid of them. 2.54 centimeters in the numerator. We'll cancel out the inches, multiply, and you'll have 35.56 centimeters. 4B, converting 12 meters to yards. Start with 12 meters over 1. Meters is what we're getting rid of, so we'll put the meters conversion factor in the denominator, 0.9 meters, 1 yard in the numerator. Meters will cancel out. Multiply across the top. You'll have 12 yards over 0.9, and we've gotten rid of the units. Now in your calculator, take 12, divide it by 0.9, and you should get 13.3 yards. And then for C, we're going from kilometers per hour in miles per hour. So we're going to start out as 96 kilometers per hour. If you want to have a 1 there, you can. Okay. We want to change the kilometer part to miles. Hours will stay in the problem. So if we change kilometer to miles, we want to get rid of kilometers. So 1.6 kilometers goes in the denominator, 1 mile in the numerator. Cancel out the kilometers. Now multiply across the top. 96 miles over 1.6 hours. Now we don't want to know how 96 per 1.6 hour. We want miles per hour. So the way that we'll do that is we want to divide the numerator and the denominator by 1.6. Now another way that you can do that is go ahead and just take 96 divided by 1.6. which gives me 60 miles per 1 hour.